All right, let me set the stage for you. You have a large project come in and you need a mini X or a mini skid or a full-size skid to get the job done, but you don't know what to do. Do you buy it? Do you lease it? Do you rent it for a week? What do you do? How do you get a machine? What does that look like for you and your business? If you make the wrong choice, your cash flow could be screwed for the next however long you have the lease or the financing on this machine. Make the right choice, and you could start to scale your business pretty profitably. And I'm excited to break it down today. The difference between renting, buying, or leasing. Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to the Growing Green podcast. Your host, Jeremiah Jennings, is the owner of Growing Green Landscapes in Birmingham, Alabama, and has a passion for growing the entrepreneurship community for those who are young in business. Being a business owner isn't easy, especially in the early years, and that's why in this show we dive into a wide range of topics covering all the challenges small business owners deal with. Even if your company is generating $1 million or more, the stories from our great guest and Jeremiah's own firsthand experiences will propel your business forward. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
Welcome back into the Growing Green Podcast, everyone. This is Jeremiah Jennings, your host for the show today. I'm excited to be here and excited for another few minutes with you guys to talk about a very important topic, which is renting, buying, or leasing. I have done all three of the above. I've done them right, I've done them wrong, and I want to make sure I share my story the best we can and talk to you about the logistics of it, because I want you to know what actually works in the dirt, right, out in the field, but also on the back end on your balance sheet and everything else. We're tackling, this is probably one of the most common questions I get when people are growing. Do I rent? Do I buy? Do I lease? You know, what does it look like? The leasing has been thrown in a lot more recently. It's a hot topic right now. Guys that are learning and growing. I am learning and growing, and we have some leases as well. It's a big decision, guys. It's a really, really big decision. The equipment that you use every day, it's the lifeline, right? Having good equipment is the lifeline of your business, okay? But it is also a very quick way to go broke if you don't manage your cash. If you just go out and start signing leases and financing things, you can go upside down very quickly if you get over leveraged with this. And so I know we all love the new shiny stuff, right? That iron sitting out there looks good, okay? It makes you feel like you're doing good. It makes you honestly pump up your ego a little bit, like, hey, we're going, right? But that feeling right there does not make payroll every week, okay? That does not put money in the bank necessarily. The machine can, but there's a lot of things to go with it. So you need to look at the pros, you need to look at the cons, and let's see what we can get into with all three of these topics. I'll tell you really quickly before I get into it, back in 2022, I purchased our mini skid, and I was just, man, I don't know, I was 22 at the time, and boy, oh boy, I just made I just signed a terrible financing agreement, crazy high interest on a machine. We're still paying on that machine. We're going to pay way too much for that machine. We're going to be upside down on it by the end of it. I can't pay it. I can't sell it for what I owe on it right now. It just won't, the value's not there. But it was this exact scenario of, hey, we have this job to do. I need a machine. How do we go about doing it? Right? How do I get this job done? We're doing a lot more of this work. So I'll talk on that a little bit more, but this is why I'm sitting here telling you, like, this matters, okay? This matters. Make good financial decisions. Make good business decisions. Make good life decisions. And it can benefit you in the end, or it can hurt you really bad. So let's set the groundwork. Let's set the foundation. So if you don't know, maybe you're new to the business, right? You're new to this whole world. Let's go renting, okay? Renting is the lowest barrier to entry. you can go just about anywhere. You can go to Home Depot and give them your light driver's license and get any machinery you want most of the time. So, I mean, they're limited on what they have, but you can get most stuff. It's the lowest barrier to entry, right? Or you could go to pretty much any rental store that does commercial rentals and give them your EIN number and a credit card, and you can get just about everything you need there as well, right? So super low barrier to entry. And there's some great pros too. Zero maintenance cost, right? No storage issues. The long-term commitment of there, not there, okay? You pay for the machine when you need it, you bid it into the job, and then you take it back when you don't, okay? If it breaks down, you call the rental yard and say, hey, it's broken down. I need a new one, okay? That's all great stuff. The cons is it is the most expensive way on a daily basis to use a machine, right? If you rent a skid steer for a week, you're paying a premium. Like I just had to rent an excavator for our job, $550 for a day, $1,000 for a week. So you get a lot better deal if you rent it for a week, but still that day rate. And again, you can factor this into the job, right? You have to factor this into the job. And as long as you're doing that, you're not losing money on it necessarily. You're just, man, so much goes into this. The mobilization of it is crazy. The logistics of it is crazy. And it just adds a lot of stress and logistical nightmare sometimes to rent. So we'll talk about that in a minute too. But essentially, look, client's paying for the machine, right? You do the work, you return it because you bid in the job, okay? Buying is building equity in something. You can have an asset, but you got to choose the asset wisely, okay? And some people call machines an asset, some people won't. That just depends on who you're talking to. I think a lot of it depends on how you treat your equipment, how you use your equipment, and how long you hold on to it. The pros are, obviously, you are owning an asset. So you're going to pay $60,000 for something, and hopefully you're going to use it for 3 to 5 years. Then you're going to turn around and sell it for $20,000 to $30,000, $40,000, right? And you're going to bill for that thing the entire time you use it. You're going to depreciate it over that lifespan. Your customers are going to pay for it. You're going to pay for that. You're going to depreciate that full $60,000 if you want to over the 5 years, and it's going to be bid into all your jobs, into your overhead, and then you're going to sell the machine for 20 or 30, and you're going to not lose money on the machine, right? So there are some pros to that. You're not at the mercy of the rental yard inventory. That is huge. Again, logistics, right? Say you have a job and you need a machine. Well, and then perfect example for us, this job, we did not have an exact start date. We were waiting on a few other, we had to finish up, we had a punch list items on a few other jobs. We got delayed on one. We had to do some irrigation repairs. So it was hard to set like a hard and fast date. Now that's part of it, right? Getting schedule dialed in. But when you're at this stage in business, when you're deciding about buying equipment, this is when it is the most chaotic a lot of the times. Like you're still out in the field every single day, running the business and running the back end. And so your business, your day-to-day looks crazy. You don't know exactly where you're going or when you're going or what you're doing. Things can change on a fly. And so having to call a rental yard and say, hey, I need an excavator in a week and a half from now on this day, and just hoping and praying nothing goes wrong between then, you don't have to change start date or anything. And that's there's some logistics there, right, that add up and it gets annoying. Or, hey, we're starting this job tomorrow. We got it done and we're going to pull it up. Do you have anything in stock, right? Do you have anything in right now? No, probably not. And it depends on what kind of rental yard you have. That makes a huge difference. We do not have a ton of rental options near us. We have a few good ones, but I've recently came upon a really good one that we're going to use a lot more. We just found on this last job, and they have a plethora of inventory. I called them at 1 p.m. and said, hey, I need this machine. He said, come get it. It'll be ready by 3:30. And so I was like, hey, now we're talking. This is great service, because I went through 3 or 4 other rental places that day trying to get a machine. And so there's benefit there to that, but there's also problems. Logistical problems, right? It adds up. You're on the hook for everything, okay? If you buy a machine. Back to buying, right? You're on the hook. A lot of times if you buy new, you get a warranty, okay? Let's not forget that. So there are huge benefits to buying new. But you're on the hook if something breaks, okay? And you need to make sure that you're realizing that when you go into buying used equipment. It's like, hey, I'm going to go buy some used machine for X amount of dollars. It's got 500 hours on it, and I'm going to be responsible because the warranty's worn out, okay? So as long as you are mechanically inclined and you can handle these things and these repairs, may not be a bad decision. But if you don't have any mechanical knowledge at all, right, and you're going to go buy some 500 to 1,000 hour machine, it's going to start having problems, you better be careful and rethink that, because not only are you responsible for those costs, you're responsible and you have to eat that downtime. The machine's down, okay? So all of that stuff that you're doing and you're thinking and considering when you're buying these machines or leasing these machines or renting these machines, this stuff has to come into play. You also have to think about insurance on your machine, and you have to think about storage and moving of the machine, because usually renting, you can get it delivered if you need to. So you got to think about that as well. So when should you buy? Okay. Personally, for me, we bought a machine because it was core to our daily operations at that point. We're using the machine 60 to 70% of the jobs that we are on now. And that is across the board: mowers, primary trucks we use day to day, and dirt equipment. Okay. We don't buy our mowers anymore. I'll talk about that in a minute. But that skid we bought in 2022, we rented for 3 months. We bought the machine in May. We rented for the 3 months prior to that, and we were renting it almost once every week or every other week for days at a time, right? And so we were spending crazy amounts of money on rentals, and that was enough for me to know. Some people have also, it also depends on your risk tolerance, guys. I have a pretty high risk tolerance. Like that just doesn't really bother me that bad. And that can be to a detriment sometimes as well, by the way. Don't let me fool you. But you can make some bad decisions that way because you're like, it's okay. But that just comes back to being uneducated about numbers. And that's why Element is so important, right? Is knowing these true numbers. But we bought the machine because we were doing it. We were using it so much, and I knew that this work was going to continue. That's the trend we were heading towards. And so you also need to make sure that you can't afford it, right? And that's what I'm saying here is you got to know your numbers. It's where Element comes in. You got to have a budget. You got to be set. You got to put it in your budget, right? You need to put your equipment into your budget and into your overhead, and it needs to be going out on jobs, and you need to be pricing for that machinery. Because if you don't know how much you need to charge for that machine per hour to recoup all of its cost over the life of the machine, you will lose money on it, right? Like, you are losing money. It's just that simple. If you're guessing, you're losing money. Element, guys, I preach it every single show. 10% off. Reach out and let me know. Get onboarded. I know some of you guys are struggling right now with some of the what it takes to get on, and some of the it's just like it's kind of old and antiquated. You have to make a lot of steps for certain things. Yes, and yes. The changes that are being made right now on the back end of the software, guys. I just had a conversation the other day with a very high up at Element that was like, "Look, this stuff is changing rapidly, like overnight." And I'm seeing it, right? I'm in beta program. You can go get in beta program too if you want to be in beta and see what's coming. That's just a quick email. So beta is sweet. Go get in it and see what's coming, because you can make great decisions based off of that and see where the software is going. So reach out today. Use code Jeremiah when you sign up, or just reach out and I'll get you in touch with somebody and get you on a discovery call, and you can save 10% off that software. But let's wrap it around here to leasing. Leasing is where you kind of fall in the middle, right? And it's become incredibly popular in the green industry the last couple years, especially for trucks and especially for machinery. What are the pros, right? What are the pros? You get brand new equipment with a lower monthly payment than if you bought it on a loan, right? So your monthly payment stays a little lower. You get to keep your cash in the bank for operating capital, okay? So you are not having to go out and deploy $60,000 or some massive down payment for a financing for a loan, right? or you're not just going to go pay cash for a machine and be out and lose all your money for capital, right? Most importantly, though, the machine is always under warranty for the life of the lease. That is one of the things that stick out to me the most is I run it hard for 2 or 3 years, stays under warranty that entire time, and then I can either give the machine back because I'm ready for a new one and I know that that one's worn out, or I can say, okay, now I can buy this machine and I know the residual value on the machine. So like when we signed our lease on our mowers 2 years ago, we signed saying, okay, this is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to cost every month. It's going to be a 3-year lease. At the end of the 3-year lease, the value of the mowers is going to be this dollar amount. And so you can either turn the machines back in to the dealer and just re-sign a whole new set of papers and get new machines, or you can purchase these machines for this set residual price. Used to, the reason leases get poo-pooed on so much is because car leases back in the day, they would not set residual value. So you would lease and pay all this money, and then at the end they would change your residual value, and you wouldn't know how much it was going to be, right? So you would end up paying astronomical amounts for a car because if you bought it, right, if you decided to buy it at the end, they'd be trying to charge you more than what the car was actually worth. And so that is the beauty of residual values and getting those figured out early on. So that is definitely a number. If you're considering a lease, you got to find the residual value before you sign any papers. The beauty is you get to return it, man. You get to return it if you want some new ones, and it works better. You don't have any downtime. You don't want to get into that. You just give it back and sign new papers. What are the cons? You don't own anything. You don't own anything at the end, right? So you have the option to, but you don't own it unless you decide to buy that out at the end. And you will pay a little bit more money if you do decide to buy it. If you buy the machine, you'll pay a little bit more money than you would have if you just financed it from day one. But you get the out in 2 years if you don't need to. And as far as I don't want to talk versus on credit versus no pulling credit versus not pulling credit. I use John Deere Financial. I use John Deere. You guys know that. We love them. I don't know that John Deere pulls credit for leases. They may, right? They may. I don't know that. You have to check that out on your own. I don't remember if they did that for me or not. So if you're in that issue, if you're in that stage of life where you're like, maybe you're young and you just don't have credit, you're trying to build it or you're trying to repair it, that may be an option for you to get in a lease a little bit easier because they just have to prove that you can make those payments every month, essentially. That's what they're looking for. When does leasing, let me finish the cons, right? So you got to watch out for hour limits too. Hour limits are true, and wear and tear penalties. So if you're not going to buy that machine, right, and you have an hour limit of 100 hours a year for easy math, well, you go put 150 hours a year on the machine, well, then your residual is going to go down, right? And so if you wanted to buy it, you would, the value of the machine, you get penalized, right? You get penalized if you turn the machine back in because in what they're telling you is this machine is going to be worth $8,000 when you sign the lease, when you turn it back in, right? So you're going to use it for the life or these 3 years. When you turn it into me, it's going to have 500 hours or 300 hours on it because you did a 3-year lease at 100 hours a year. It's going to have 300 hours on it, and that machine is going to be worth $7,000 to $8,000 for us, right? And we're going to take that and we're going to resell it to someone. Well, that's how their math works. That's how I can justify it. If you have hour limits of 100 hours a year and you go put 150 on it, well, then when you go turn that lease in, you're going to have 450 hours instead of 300 hours, which means the value for the mower is way less than what they thought it was going to be. So you're going to get penalized for it, right? It makes sense. You got to be careful about that. And you will get charged a dollar amount of something per hour or whatever. I don't know what that looks like. You just got to find that in your contract. And if you beat the garbage out of a lease skid steer, you'll pay for it because, again, you're going to have hours that are going to be over. You're going to have wear and tear on it that they will look at and review before you turn it in. Because things do have to be in working order, believe it or not. So when does leasing make sense, right? You have high hour machines and you have an eyewear machine, those are great. Okay. If you run snow, right? Say you run snow and you cannot afford for a loader to go down. Leasing is going to guarantee that if you go get a truck and you lease and it breaks down, it's going to be under warranty, right? And usually you can go get that and turn it in and they'll give you a new one pretty quick. It's also for companies that are scaling fast and they need their cash to be reserved, right? And so they can just say, here's my $100 or $1,000 a month. Instead of $1,200 a month, here's my $1,000 a month. I'm not going to go drop tons of $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on a truck, right? And so this is where I'm at with like our machinery is same thing, very similar as like my skid steer's on lease, my mowers are on lease, my trucks are on lease. Again, I know the value of these machines when I turn them in. If I want to buy them, I know the value of them. So I have that. And if I want to turn them in and like say I have 4 mowers on lease now where maybe in 2 years I don't need 4 mowers, I only need 2, right? Because we changed our operations for mowing or something. Well, guess what? You're not stuck with 2 mowers forever. You just turn those 2 mowers back in and you get out of it. So those things to consider as well. Most time, if you're wanting to grow a company, that's not the way to look at it, but it's still a possibility. So here's the problem, okay, before we wrap up. The problem a lot of guys that are not going to look at and they're going to miss when they make decisions is you're only going to look at the monthly payment, right? And this is what I made in 2022. I was just dumb and naive and didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh, it's going to cost this much a month? Fantastic. Great. I need the machine. I have jobs to do, right? Like that was what I was. Can I get in this thing? I went and picked it up the next day. Yes, great. That you'll look and you say, well, the loan payment's $800, right? And the lease is $600. So the lease is cheaper, okay? And so you do have to consider like what are the hidden costs? What are the costs of downtime? What are the costs of maintenance? Those are things that have to be considered, right? And what is the opportunity cost of tying up $20,000 in a down payment if you're buying one, right? So all of these things are things to consider from the lease side and from the ownership side. You got to look at the total cost of ownership, not just sticker price, okay? And you have to look at the team. What is your team driving? What are they using every day? Are they destroying everything they touch? Are they keeping up with their stuff? Are they rough with everything? Because if they're rough on everything, the leasing could be a problem when you return it and you have penalties on everything. These are things you have to talk to, okay? And I'll tell you, get around people that you can talk to these things with, right? Get around business owners who have done these things. If you want to get around that, I'll tell you probably one of my first places that I would look is there is Brian Fullerton's Link Facebook group. That is going to be a lot of guys that are out mowing, running mid to growing landscape companies, 500 to a million plus landscape companies with a lot of mowing and maintenance in there as well. You could look at the Leanscaper community, guys. Leanscaper is fantastic. The community portion is great. They have thousands of members in there, and it's companies from 200,000 to 100 million, right, that are all inside of this community. And you can go ask all these questions. People are willing to talk to you there. I highly encourage you get it, and I highly encourage you sign up for the accelerator program. You can get in there for the smallest tier, the cheapest tier. You can get in for $200 and $225 a month, I believe. And that's going to be if you're right around that $200,000 to $500,000 mark of revenue. That's where you're going to fit. That's what's going to be a good fit for you. And guys, I can tell you that's a well worth an investment to get the knowledge of how to become an AI-empowered company and get to hear and be around Mark and his teaching every single week, 52 weeks a year. Get around guys that know what they're doing and they've done these things. Ask the right questions. Please ask the right questions and try things out. Okay, go in. The salesmen are going to sell you on anything, right? Don't let them try to swoon you and they're going to sell you because they want to sell you. They want the commission, right? Try to find a good salesman that's not in it for that. But at the end of the day, most people are going to try to tell you the goods because, again, they want to make the money. So thank you for your support here of our show. Thank you for what you do for us. We're in the thick of it right now. I'm out in the field. We are kind of changing the structure of our business right now for the next couple months. And so I'm excited to continue this and share this a little bit more and walk through this with you. So just give me a little bit of grace if I miss a message or something, because I went from, hey, truly management of a business, like in the office a lot of the time, running estimates, sales calls, things like that, to now I'm very heavy back into production, and I'm not mad about it. It's just a little bit of a restructure. And so I'm excited to, again, change these things up, fix some things, and share with you guys all along the way. So if I can ever help you, please reach out and let me know. If you need anything, let me know. Come back and listen here next week for another great show here on the Growing Green Podcast. Also come over to Cultivated on Mondays, guys. We took our Marriage Monday show and moved it over to the show called Cultivated. Same concepts, just broken it out into its own show. We're talking a lot of business, family, and life over there. Just all in all, encompassing everything. If we can do anything for you, reach out and let me know. I love you. I care about you. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning into the show today, guys. Without any further ado, that's going to wrap this one up. We'll catch up with you here on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green Podcast. It is an honor to have you listening, and we hope you receive valuable advice to help take your business to the next level. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.